How about if you're selling what is obviously going to be viewed as a commodity, but you've got differentiators? We all do. We all work for companies that have proven that there's a business model, hopefully, there already. And what we have to do is get the other person to care about those things. But the pitch is not the way to do that. We can't push our view of the world onto them. That's a commercial. And what do you do when a commercial comes on TV? You zone out. You play with your phone. You go to the bathroom. You get something to drink. You ignore it. And I saw an interesting post on social where when your ad interrupts my feed, I hate your product. Advertising has to be, at minimum, enjoyable, interesting. But we don't want to be advertisers. We want to be people connecting with other people, problem solvers, helpers, trusted advisors. All of these things that we hear we want to be. You want them to want to talk with you. You want them to want to need you. We're going to get into this in the most commoditized thing you can imagine, transportation. It is business to business. It can be a complex sale. There's a lot to it. You're in the middle. This person's a podcast listener, great guy, ex-military. And we're going to talk about, how do you get up every day and do that? Cold outreach, cold calling, and talking with people who don't want to talk with you. I talk a lot about this and start the conversation, get the meeting, and we've had some enormous success stories in this particular field because it's hard. And what's unique about this field, I was the guy on the other end. One of the first jobs I had when I was going to school at night after high school was parts man. I ran shipping and receiving for a small manufacturing company. And I was the guy that people called on. And I can share some stories, and I talk about them a little bit in the interview. But let's get into it. I think you're going to like this, especially if you are viewed as a commodity. But we have to remember that we're not, that we're unique. Also, make sure you're checking out our friends over at Covideo. Video email's a way to crush it this year. And also check out the website. You get a free ebook, How Large Companies Make Purchase Decisions. It's a good little starter kit if you're in the complex sale and how to put a little bit of the pieces together. If you really want to learn how to close large complex sales, go to b2brevenue.com. It's not knowledge. Everybody wants to treat sales like, oh, I know it or I don't know it. It's a skill. Imagine something that have you played a sport? Okay, how long does it take you to learn the rules? Throw a baseball. It takes you a day. Are you a pitcher? Are you in the major league? No, it takes a lifetime to get in the major league. And how do you do it? You find distinctions. You get a coach. You listen to other pitchers. You get feedback. You videotape yourself pitching. And you take the feedback and you practice within a team. You can practice on your own as well. But when you hear other people going through the same struggle and the distinctions that they find, we all know how to pitch, okay? It takes 10 seconds to learn the pitch. It takes a lifetime to become good at it and to connect with another human being. Subtle nuances. It's a skill. It's a performance. It's not knowledge. The people who think it are knowledge come up with all the excuses. I hear them all day long. Oh, my industry, my product, my manager, my territory, my comp plan. Oh, God, enough with them. Let's get into the interview. I'll sum it up at the end. Hey, Leon, welcome to the show. As a way of getting started, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me. Leon Brownlee. I'm born and raised in Memphis, Tennessee. At about age 28, after bouncing through a couple of transactional kind of sales jobs while finishing up my master's degree in criminology, moved to the Boston area with my fiance, now still my wife. And I was looking for a job, quickly discovered in that area that criminology was not going to be a field that I was going to make a whole lot of money on and support a family. I fell back on my marketing degree and started a job with what at that point was the 9X Yellow Pages. Spent 17 years without ever leaving the company, but probably had about 15 different business cards with different business names through mergers, acquisitions, spinoffs. Spent a lot of time with the Yellow Pages, primarily selling media and advertising, not only print, but digital. Spent a pretty significant amount of time as a sales manager, then really decided in '08, I'm sorry, yeah, in '08 that it was a lot easier to make money and be more profitable as a rep than a manager. So I went back to, as they said, carrying the bag. And I was the major account rep for most of Virginia, with the exception of a lot of the Northern Virginia area and the Virginia Beach area. So my territory was, I had a few up in Alexandria, but my territory was all of Virginia, even way out to Norton. So I
Yeah.
was dealing with the company's largest advertisers in that area.
A lot of travel, huh?
It wasn't bad. A couple of times overnight, spend enough time with them, you establish good rapport. My furthest client away it was easier to get to Knoxville, Tennessee, and quicker than it was to get to him way up in Norton, Virginia.
Yeah.
But after the first two times meeting him face to face, he allowed me to handle everything over phone.
And were you calling on business owners? Is that mostly?
Business owners, absolutely B2B. I've always sold B2B. I was dealing with, your traditional successful Yellow Page advertisers, your service industries, your attorneys, your physicians, dentists. Those were my bread and butter. I had some that were spending at that point upwards of nearly 250,000 a month
Wow.
with media programs. Yeah,
Holy
big
smoke.
bucks.
Yeah.
And I left in 2014 when at that point, that was when surprisingly the largest players, the ROI started to turn the wrong way. Could no longer consistently prove the value. So I decided to step away and took a job with a security integrator and try to help rebuild their commercial sales group. And spent 3 years there, really enjoyed it, but probably wasn't the right field for me. Tried my hand in a marketing and media franchise. Really learned after 2 years that that was not the right sales cycle, the right value, nor the right proposition for me. And now I am a sales associate with a pretty hefty sales goal for a Sandler franchise here in town in Richmond.
Cool.
Yeah.
And what did you like best? Was it management or selling?
I really liked both. When I was firing on all cylinders with management, uh, I was fortunate enough to be part of Verizon's Emerging Leader Program, attended the Center for Creative Leadership, really got in depth in true leadership and management, not just supervising and focusing on quotas and focusing on activity-based management, which I think a lot of people do, right? Tell me how many people you called today. I really liked getting to the goals of the people that I worked with. Why are you doing this? Vision boards. What's your why? And let's focus on your why every day, not the how many people did you call.
Yeah.
That I enjoyed significantly. But I really think I kind of found my fire when I started to uncover that with my clients when I started selling. When I went beyond just somebody that was handling their advertising and really went to what are your goals? What happens if we impact the goal? What happens if we don't? Who are the people that are impacted? That's when I felt like I was next level sales rather than transactional.
Yeah. And it's a major difference too.
It's unbelievable what happens when you solely focus on your client, their goals and their needs, and care less how they relate to your business goals.
They open up, you're
Yeah.
on the same side.
Yeah. And
And they want to talk to you.
they want to talk to you. They trust you. When you're dealing with the same people for 10, 11 years, but you're also prospecting, trying to add to that, client list, it's amazing how easy it is when you can kind of step back and go, look, I'm just looking to have a discussion. That's my objective one. Let's have a discussion on mutual and equal business stature. After that, we can decide if it's worth continuing.
Right. Yeah. Instead of trying to give the perfect commercial.
Right. Yeah.
Who
And
cares?
you have to have a piece of that to get them to start talking to you.
A little bit.
But if it's not genuine, they're never going to want to have that conversation. It is all about, I want to see if you've got a problem I may be able to solve. And if you don't, no is a perfectly acceptable answer.
And they want to talk about themselves. They don't want to talk about you.
Oh, they could care less who I am. Now, you've probably experienced over time, they start to care who you are.
Sure. And that's
But
the magic.
yes.
When it switches and they ask about you.
Right. I still have people I called on, when I left in 2014, that we get together on a regular basis. We talk, how are your kids? How's your wife? I can't believe Tyler's headed off to college this year. People that were my clients that remember my kids' names, and, that level is gratifying.
And people kind of belittle this as small talk and just rapport, but it's a lot more than that.
It is, and it's a fine line between client and friendship. But if you clearly set the expectations of when you're talking business and when you're getting to know each other, it becomes a really natural interaction.
Yeah. See, people either don't do it at all or do too much of it.
Right. Right. And I'm a highly social talking personality. So I have to check myself before I go into an interaction. So as I don't either talk too much about myself or inquire too much about the person I'm talking to in a non-business stature.
Right. But
You
because
have to
that
earn
all
that.
does relate back to why they want to do something.
Yes.
Where are they in life? Then where are they in career?
Right. And
And if you just
the
ignore it,
successful people,
you're not going to connect.
if you don't ignore it, no. And the successful people have figured out the right way to align their personal goals with their business goals. And so as you get to know them better, you learn to have that shared more. And often you find opportunity more than obstacle.
Right.
Yeah. It's
And too
very
many,
gratifying, particularly when you approach each day with I'm going to go do what I can to help as many people as possible.
and that's the right mindset.
Yes. Yeah, you
And
talk about mindset a lot. It's interesting, particularly after having a business that failed. So I had a business that I worked on for 2 years that failed miserably. And the mindset after failing is very challenging. And I've developed almost a mantra, and it's become almost a family saying that you either win or you learn. I got that from Tom Brady, huge Patriots fan. Hope that doesn't disqualify me from being the further conversation. But it's amazing if you stop back and go, all right, well, I didn't fail in business. I learned what not to do moving forward.
yeah, and too many of us look at it as either we fail or we succeed. But no, we do learn.
Of
And
course.
so, and when you're not going to win every deal, and you have to start where the client is, not where you are. You're at, I want to take an order.
Yeah, that's the
They're
wrong
at,
spot.
leave me alone.
And it's a true story. When I was in the Yellow Page sales, my largest single sale came from a referral that was from a prospect that, after going through the pain needs analysis, I told him I couldn't help him. I said, your problem I can't solve. You need to go talk to this person. And after that person met with him and referred him and helped his business, that prospect reached out to me and said, you need to go talk to this guy. He's waiting for your call. And it turned into my largest ever single sale.
Yeah, and I think people respect that, and it
Yes.
really it takes both people off the the base where they have to pretend they're doing something that they don't want to do.
Right. And everybody wants to have that. Listen, I'm just having a discussion. Everybody wants to go down that. All I really want to do is see if you have some needs that I may be able to help. But when it becomes genuine and you can genuinely look at somebody and go, I don't think I can solve this problem, but I know somebody that can, the world opens and people learn to trust. And I know you're a big believer in know, like, trust. I'm a huge believer in that trust. And there's plenty of times where I've probably done business with somebody that wasn't the most likable person in the world, but they were likable, knowledgeable enough to where they earned my trust and they fulfilled my needs and did what they said they were going to do.
Right. Because to really connect with them, you have to want to talk with them, because it's either I have to, I need to, or I want to.
Yes.
So if you don't like to, you're only going to talk to them when you need to or have to.
Right. Right. And the like to is where all the power comes and the passion in selling. And to me, the people that get it are the ones that are very happy to have sales on their business card, on their job title, wear it with pride. The days of the schmarmy used car salesmen are over,
Long over. Yeah.
When I was a manager, I typically eliminated a resume regardless of how qualified they looked if every job title avoided the word sales. That was somebody that I didn't feel was proud of the sales job. So I felt like they may have some head trash.
Yeah. And, I've talked to a lot of people who they look down at sales. They go, well, who pays your salary?
Right.
If nobody buys the product that you built, nobody needs you.
Right. And I don't really know of any product that sells itself. So somebody's got to get out there and tell the story.
Yeah.
You're right. Not in B2B. No, not whatsoever.
Right. And yeah, I get a lot of comments on LinkedIn by the righteous consumers. I know what I want and I'll go pick it out and I don't need you. It's like, okay, go away.
Yeah.
We don't need you either.
Right. Good luck with that. Thanks for your input.
Yeah. But if you want to change your business.
Right. And that it's a funny dynamic. And I'm not sure I could ever execute a B2C because I'm not sure I'm wired that way. So when I was with the security company, they have a residential division. And I always looked at those people with utmost admiration because they're walking door to door. They had an objective. They had certain doors they had to knock every day. I'm not sure I would probably get major call reluctance when I went up to try to knock on that door. I just don't, it's not the way I'm wired.
Well, you're bothering them because they're probably watching TV or making dinner or relaxing, enjoying their life. An alarm system's not on their mind.
Right. But there were people that were very successful at it. But the common thread was they were genuine in their passion for knowing that the product could help somebody solve a problem.
Yeah.
And again, they were the ones that weren't afraid to knock on a door, but they focused on, hey, have you ever felt this way within your home? We can fix that. They were focusing on the problem, not hey, I've got 3 months free and a free camera, so let's talk. Right. That doesn't work.
No. And what did you like about sales management?
I think I liked it. Some of the same things I liked from sales, the different personalities, the different people, seeing that light bulb moment where, working with somebody, working with them on how to improve, things to say. I liked getting really into the coaching piece.
Yeah.
And the disciplined manager, when they step into coach, they don't take over the sale. Right. They let the salesperson figure out the way to solve the problem. I coached a lot of youth soccer in my earlier years, and one of my great soccer coaching mentors taught me guided discovery. And that's what you have to do in sales management is allow the salesperson to figure out how to solve the problem rather than rescuing and solving it for them, because then you're setting them up for long-term success, not the oh, we made a great sale. No, you're turning into a great salesman, not making great sales. You're turning into a professional. That's what I really liked about it the most.
And how do you do that?
I think it's twofold. You've got to know your people. I'm a big believer in some level of behavior style assessment, whether it's Myers-Briggs, DISC. I mean, there's so many of them. But my best years in sales management, I had name tags for each of my sales reps color coded on their cubicle, so that when I went to have a conversation with them, I was reminded of their behavior style and could adapt. And it was also understanding their personal goals and their personal needs, their why they were there. And that's what I focused on. There wasn't a coaching session that I started with, okay, well, let's talk about how many calls you made. Let me see your activity sheet. Let's check the CRM. It was, hey, first, how's the family? You know, how's your wife? How's Tom? How's this? Is your mom doing better? It's like, okay, let's talk about the client interaction. What's happening inside the 50 calls you made? What was said? What could you have said? What didn't work? What do you want to try different? And when you focus on the professional behavior behind the activity, the true technique, that's when you are leading and they're learning versus supervising and micromanaging.
Yeah, I mean, the micromanagement, I think it's very common today because
Right.
technology has made it so simple to do it.
Yep.
Counting phone calls, dial times, all these little things in the charts.
Right.
And I think that's become the interface to the rep as opposed to the conversation with the rep.
Well, it becomes, it's interesting to me. So the manager that uses the CRM, they're lazy if they're not using the CRM to say, hey, okay, great. You hit your 50 calls. Let's talk about the 50 that you hit that turned into discussion. Why did it turn into a discussion? The micromanaging's there. If the data is being entered, why do you need to ask the rep about it? Yeah. You know, the rep wants to talk about, how do I improve? How do I get better? What am I saying that could be working? What should I be saying that could get me more discussions? Because at the end of the day, everybody picks up the phone, walks in. People look at you with two heads if you walk into a building right now. But, you know, at the end of the day, you got to do the activity. But if you understand what the interaction looks like inside the activity, that's where you win more opportunities or get more discussions to get to that professional and talk. Yeah. You know, and it's very genuine. The people, you can tell, I just want to have a discussion. I love it when somebody says, oh, you're just trying to sell me something. My response is, well, I'm not going to lie to you. My end objective, it would be great if you buy something from me, but I have no idea if that's even feasible without talking to you first. You know, I need a discussion. And that's why I'm here. I cold call to move to the next step, which is to schedule a talk, not to tell somebody about my product.
Right. And that seems complicated, and it is, because it's not natural. You have to think the way the other person thinks. You have to become curious, empathetic, and care. Right. About what, and that outward mindset, you know, takes a long time to develop. It
does. And interestingly, my master's in criminology taught me more about that human interaction, the way the mind works, the behavior, and also kind of give me that radar that this person's not being completely upfront and honest with me. So that degree really made a difference.
Because criminology, you're a detective, right?
Yeah.
That's the point. And what is
get to the bottom of it?
Yeah. Because a detective doesn't talk to every citizen in that town.
Right.
You can't possibly do it.
Right.
Where do you start? You go, this person's dead. Who's closest to them?
Right.
Who saw them last?
Yes. Tell me that story.
Right. Who did they owe money to? Who doesn't like them?
Yeah.
Who's geographically close to them?
And the detective is good at uncovering the emotional reasons for acting, which
Yes.
is where the sale is made. When you uncover the emotional reason for somebody to act or not act, that's when you win a client and not just a conversion.
Because logically, everyone should buy our product or service because it makes logical sense.
Right.
But it might not be a priority. They might not care. They have other stuff to do.
Yep.
They think they're fine.
Sure.
That
And that's
detective, because
right.
that's it, that activity counting, that's the census taker approach to selling.
Right.
Ask everybody the same stupid questions, collect
Yep.
they'll self-service.
Right. You'll stumble upon some level of success at some point, right?
Yeah.
If you make
Somebody's
100
going to want to
calls,
alarm.
yeah, you'll find somebody after you make 100 calls that'll listen to you.
Right. Because if you knock on 100 doors, at least one of them was scared last night when they heard a sound.
Right. Right. Yeah. I saw a police officer drive by. I wonder why.
Yeah.
Is
My
there
old
something happening
boss
in the neighborhood?
started in selling alarms, and he took the detective approach. He'd
Right.
open the paper, see where there was a robbery, go talk to them and everybody around them.
Yeah.
Because now they're in market.
Yep. There's no greater pain than when somebody has had a specific incident right then and there.
Because criminals do it. Criminals
Of
check
course.
out the obituary. When's the funeral? When's the wedding? They know they're not going to be home. They
Yep.
scour Facebook. Oh, you're on vacation? Thank you.
Isn't it funny that the criminal will do the research, but often the salesperson won't?
Yeah. Because criminal works on commission only.
Right. That is the ultimate commission plan.
Right? Because if you don't steal, you don't eat.
Right.
But they don't go, robbing every house. They want to rob an empty house.
Right.
Because
Right.
somebody will have an alarm, a gun, who knows what's going on inside.
Yep. It's an interesting field. And commercially, it was even more interesting because uncovering that pain. And today, I still have several friends, and I talked to one that she's a bit of a manufacturer's rep, but she's working for a specific software that works with integrators. So the gentleman from the podcast you aired this morning, great referral for my friend.
Yeah.
But, so many things are out there now with technology and analytics, in particular, like heat-seeking cameras and cameras that can tell a temperature and body count. That type of analytic is really valuable in the exact environment we're in today. But trying to stay on top of it becomes really challenging.
Right. And being able to talk about that, what's
Yes.
changed in security, everybody wants to know about that.
Right. They do. They do.
They're comfortable. If people weren't comfortable, they'd be in market. They'd be searching you out.
Right.
So in B2B, we're usually talking cold, latent pain that we have to activate.
Right.
And I don't think you do that with a pitch.
No, and you can't do it with a script or a can. One of the umpteen number of leaders that were at the Yellow Pages, it may have been 2013, so it was very near when I left. Every salesperson became required to memorize a 3-page script. And I can recall, kind of scratching my head and going, this is so counterintuitive to what should be happening in sales. And I got filmed, and the film got sent up the leadership chain of me barfing the script. And at that point, that's probably where my disconnection started with that career path. Because I was like, I'm not a script salesperson. I want to have a discussion with my people. And these are our company's largest advertisers. They're going to look at me if I try to roll that out and go, what the hell are you doing?
Oh, every person I talk to is like, can you help me with my messaging? And it's like, I don't think it's your messaging. That's the problem.
I don't don't think you get it.
I can help you with your questions.
Right.
Where do you think people are? And they look at me like, what are you talking about?
Right.
Just because your need does, or your want doesn't create their need.
Exactly. And that's where being as a sales leader, sales manager, the power comes when that light goes on with somebody else and they go, okay, now I get it. I need to be obsessive about helping and having a discussion to help somebody uncover pain, even if that pain is a problem I can't solve. When you become obsessed with helping somebody uncover a real need, then even if it's not pain you can solve, you're going to find success more often than not.
And yeah, you might be a little early. It might be too latent that you have to build it into curiosity and interest, and it might take more time.
Right.
But you're already at no. You don't have to do anything to get another no.
And that's the funny part too, as it comes to trying to get people to want to pick up the phone and do that cold call. What's the worst that happens? They tell you no.
Yeah.
If you don't ask the question, no's already the answer. So, you have zero to lose other than the 30 seconds that it might take to get to the no, and, found somebody that's not interested. I'm that much closer to finding somebody else that might be a yes.
And what helped you along the way? The criminology degree, that mindset helped a lot?
That mindset, really, about halfway through my sales career, and I think it was probably Bell Atlantic at the time, invested in quality sales training. They went into a real needs-based training. Total mind shift away from go tell somebody about how great the Yellow Pages is to I'm here to hear about your problems so that I can do a diagnosis of whether or not we can solve. I think at some point in time, it probably had to do with that institutional arrogance that, somebody up the chain probably said, oh, maybe this Google thing ought to be paid attention to.
Yeah, maybe.
Right? Maybe. Call me crazy. But
this internet fad.
Right. But that's when the light bulb went off with me of that's it. We're solving people's problems, not let me give you product feature benefit. And that's when the corner turned for me, when I went to solving a problem rather than, tell me about this page and that ad, and I'm going to spec. So we used to be required to go in and I doubled your ad size before we even met. How disingenuous is that? Hey, tell me about what's going on in your business. By the way, I've already predetermined what's going on in your business.
Right.
And the shift was made, and that's where the light bulbs went off for me, and kind of where I became passionate about getting other people to see the light bulb. That selling is not about, here's my product. Selling is about, tell me what's going on in your business.
Yeah, because if fear of missing out was really the draw for everybody, we'd all have six-pack abs, right?
Right.
Because we go on Instagram and go, I'd love my abs to look like that.
Right.
I have the want, I have the need. Yeah. I'm missing out, but I'm like, I sure do like to eat.
Guilty as charged.
And doing sit-ups all day isn't my bag.
No, I get it. But it absolutely becomes that if you wake up every morning with the mindset, I'm going to reach out to help more people because I have a great story to tell within my product offering, but I have to find out about somebody else's business story first.
Yeah.
What's your passion? Why'd you start here? What made you decide to do this?
Well, and what do you see as your options?
Right. What are your deepest concerns? And I'm not a fan of, that what keeps you up at night question, but you got to ask something similar, right?
Right.
When somebody walks through the door with a problem in your office, what do you hope the problem is and what do you hope it isn't? Because if the problem that you don't want to talk about is the one you're having the problem solving, that's where I may be able to help you.
Yeah. Cool. Hey, this has been a fun conversation,
I've
Leon.
enjoyed it as well.
Yeah, where can people go to follow you?
I am found on LinkedIn at Leon Brownlee. I am found on Instagram at Leon W. Brownlee. And that is pretty much the two best places to find me. I'm on Facebook, but I'm probably stepping away from it pretty soon.
I don't blame you.
Yeah. There's an election coming up. I'm too old to deal with
It
that
is getting
garbage.
scary, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
What a great guy, huh? The military thing and the theme of the military people that I do interview, they definitely have the resilience and the structure that it takes to be successful in sales, because you need to be able to have that resilience of the rejection. And you have to learn how to work with people. So maybe you want to go into the military, I don't know. But if you know somebody who came out of the military and is looking for a career, I really think sales, I think in general, anybody who has resilience, is money motivated, has something driving them, because you have to be self-motivated to be good at sales, because your manager, they can scare you, they can put some desire in front of you, but at the end of the day, it's you that has to pick up the phone. It's you that has to do the research. It's you that has to take action. It's you who has to face it. So I hope you enjoyed that interview. I think he's a great guy. I love having podcast listeners on the show. If you'd like to be on the show, or you think somebody in your network would be a great guest, just hit me up on LinkedIn. I try and reply as soon as I can. I do get a little bombarded with requests, but I'd love to have the best salespeople. So don't feel rejected. Just keep forwarding it to me. I try and keep as current as I can. I've got a lot going on here at Maverick headquarters. Now, look at your calendar right now. This week, next week, I don't care. Everyone gets specific. Just look at your calendar. Last week, this week, next week, a month from now, whatever it is, and tell me how many cold new meetings, not inbound leads, not existing customers, not somebody referred something to you, something cold, something that you went out and prospected for. How many? You know what the most common answer is? It starts at 1 and it quickly goes to 0. And the average, I'd say, is probably 2 a month if somebody's doing it full time. It's hard. I empathize. I understand. I talk with people all day, and this is the problem that start the conversation, get the meeting solves. We have to understand that we're starting where the other person is, regardless of where we are, and we have to build up. This is a skill. It's not knowledge. Everybody thinks it's knowledge. Oh, just give me the subject line, Brian. Oh, what do you say? No, God, it's a lot. It's a skill. It's understanding what they want to hear, not what you want to say. It's a mindset. It's a skill set. It's practice. But once you learn it and you look at your calendar, and when I get a photo of someone's calendar and they got 10, 20 plus meetings that week, all inbound, all through this approach, some of which they've outsourced to virtual assistants to do some of the research for them. And it's not just research on their school, and it's not the bullshit that you see on LinkedIn by the people copying Chris Voss. This is how people want to be approached. It's not guesswork. This is from somebody who has sold for the last 30 years, somebody who's built their own business. Imagine what I did when I started my own business. I thought because I had a book that it'd be easy. And there was some trickle in. There was a little bit, but most of it, I'd say 4 3/4 days a week was cold outbound. There was probably 15 minutes of that. Warm inbound. Thank you. I'm ready to go. And that happened once in a while. But I built up a system and approach, and I've applied it to pretty much any B2B industry. So the economics have to work, meaning that what would you pay for a meeting? Tell me, okay? You can do the math. If you're getting 2 a month now and you want to get 20 or 40, what's that worth to you? Is it worth stretching? Is it worth developing a skill that will transcend your career for the rest of your life, that will distinguish yourself, that you can then teach to other people? I can't imagine a more value. Oh, I can. winning the complex sale. Because once you get the conversation started, you still got to close a deal. Let me ask you to do another exercise. Look at your pipeline. Now to the end of the year, and now to the end of your comp plan. Nice and full, isn't it? I bet your manager's got you 3Xing your pipeline, which means there's two-thirds of it is BS that you made up so that your manager would get off your back. But you have to keep it up to date. You have to stay in touch, follow up, touch base, connect, sync up with them. And guess what? They're not going to close. And you know they're not going to close. Not now, maybe in a year. How do you get the ones that can close? The ones that you look at and you go, if I put the right energy into it, if I kept the deal moving, if I didn't let it fall down, I could close these deals. And you know what the number one objection I get when I talk to people about this course? Oh, let me see if I can get my manager to pay for it. Okay, sure. But aren't you an adult? Doesn't closing one of those deals pay for it 10, 20 times over? And you're going to wait a month to see if you can expense it through the company system? Get a backbone. Step up. This is your income. Stop thinking like a little sheep that works for the manager, works for the man. You work for yourself, and a lot of people are figuring this out right now. The motto of a salespreneur exists whether you accept it or not. You can deny it. You can hide from it. You can pretend Brian's making something up. But watch what happens when you don't make your number. Okay? You might keep your job, but they're not going to pay you. They'll get you a little base salary, and that might get you your Netflix and pizza on Sunday night. But it's not going to get you where you want. It's not going to put your kids through this college that you want. It's not going to build up that 401k retirement and get that Lambo you've been dreaming of. To get the things you want out of life, you have to close deals. They're not paying you a lot of money to order take. And believe me, they have all the math on the order takers. They marginalize them out, and they're looking at the comp plans right now. It's the killers, the hunters, the mavericks, the people who can make rain happen. Not just meetings, deals, big deals, and make them happen. You got to understand that the default is to do nothing. Maybe you're in a beauty contest where there's 5 of you. Yeah, they're going to buy something. Okay, hopefully. But okay, so then you have a 20% chance. How do you get that up to 80, 90%? How do you control a complex deal? Nobody teaches this. It's not about value and ROI. Those are elements. They're little pieces of it. You got to have direction, momentum, and control. You have to understand what each person cares about. You can't fall into all the traps. And how do you get good at that? Oh, I'm going to read a book. Can you recommend a book, Brian? I love that question. What, you think there's a book I know about that you don't know about? Go on Amazon, read all the books you want. Okay, I read all the books I want, and I was lost. I was like, okay, well, I don't know what to do. Book is nice, but it was written 30 years ago. Can I talk to somebody? Can I have a process? Can I talk to somebody who knows what I'm going through? Office hours every other Friday for 1 hour per course. All recorded and put back in the course. You don't have to listen to all of them, but you might want to listen to the ones that apply to you. And if you can attend and talk through your deals, imagine being able to participate with other reps where their sole motive is solving problems. No chest beating, no bragging, no posturing. They just want to solve problems. They want to talk through issues. How do you do it? I'm facing this. How do I prevent that? How do I recover from this? All of these things that you need to become good at, not just know. No one's ever lost a deal and said, oh, wow, that was 100% my fault. They all say, oh, I knew that was going to happen. Okay, if you knew it was going to happen, why didn't you prevent it? Well, I didn't know about it then. I know about it now. Well, it's too late now. How about if you knew about it before it happened and prevented it? It's your money. It's your income. You decide. And why don't you make the commitment and take the next step? Oh, I want to listen to somebody else. I want to just have it planted in my head. What book? No, own it. It's your income. It's your life. You own it whether you accept it or not. You're a salespreneur whether you admit it or not. And when they have that cut, are you going to be above the line or below the line? I want to be above the line. Go to b2brevenue.com, sign up. Do not schedule a call unless you're ready to buy. I put a video together. I answer pretty much every question that comes up. Listen to that first, but be ready to buy. I don't want to hear any excuses. Oh, the time doesn't work for me. Does it work in my industry? Does it work in my territory? You know what? It does. It really does. But you have to work it. You have to do a little bit of work. It's not a subject line. It's not a trick. It's not a gimmick. It's selling. It's a skill. It's a profession. And it takes a long time to become good at it. Let's become good at it. We'll see you next time. Make sure you listen to the 2 other podcasts, Sales Questions, Brutally Honest Answers, as well as the B2B Revenue Leadership Show. We'll see you next time. For itself, you don't have to close even one deal for it to pay for itself. This is a skill that you can apply the rest of your career. And I'd say less than 1% of the reps understand this information. Apply it, less than 1%. Get it out of their head, less than 1/10 of 1%. Be that person, because that's the person who's going to win. When you hear these interviews where somebody's invested a year and a half in a deal, and it either stalls or doesn't close or goes to the competition, that's a year of your career. That's a lot. You don't want to do that. And smaller deals still have these elements, and you want to control that. So, hey, I appreciate everybody listening. If you see me on LinkedIn, give me a little like, a little comment, a little thumbs up, a little share. I'm running out of connections, so don't get upset if I'm not connecting with you. I got to get rid of old connections to make room for you. But you can still follow so you see it. Follow the podcast company page. Just search for it, and you can follow it there. I put all the content up there. The YouTube channel, I store all the interviews in video format there. If you want to see our smiling faces, just search Brian Burns Sales on YouTube. Website is b2brevenue.com. I appreciate you listening. There's 2 other podcasts I want to make sure you're listening to: Sales Questions, Brutally Honest Answers, and the B2B Revenue Leadership Show. We'll see you next time.